All right, let's get in on the Giants right here. This to me has been a very interesting week for the San Francisco Giants. And there's really two topics that that we want to touch on. One, the Giants signed Jung Lee to a 6-year deal for $113 million. And they officially made the announcement he's going to get $5 million in a signing bonus. He's going to make salaries of $7 million this year, $16 million in 2025, and then $22 million per year in 2026, 2027, and then $20.5 million in each of the final 2 years in 28 and 29 if he doesn't opt out after the fourth year. He's got a fourth year. He's got an opt-out after the fourth year. So the Giants give him a 6-year, $113 million deal with the opt-out after 4 years. And in addition to that, the Giants will owe a posting fee of $18.8 million to the Kiwoom Heroes of the KBO. This is a Scott Boras deal for Lee. He's 25. He's been a highly anticipated free agent for over a year. It was reported in January that the Heroes of the KBO would post him for clubs this year. He had a great 2022 season. He's got strong plate discipline. Last year, he walked in 10.5% of his plate appearances. He struck out in just 5.1% of them. He's never hit more than 15 home runs in a season in the KBO. He did manage to tally 23, or he's had one season, I should say, of over 15. He had 23 in that one season. He finished with a batting line of 349 with a 421 on base. So he was 75% better than the league average in the KBO. He also won a Gold Glove Award for the 5th straight year. He's also earned the MVP honors in the KBO. And then in 2023, he played just 86 games because of a fractured ankle. He hit 318 with a 406 on base, 6 home runs in 86 games. He injured the left ankle in late July, and it had to have surgery, which ended his year. The Giants wanted him, the Padres, the Yanks, the Mets, and the Giants eventually get him. I'm not a big fan of this signing, and I've talked about it on Twitter. $19 million a year for a slap hitter is, to me, a dramatic overpay. The other thing that really concerns me is that the KBO pitchers average fastball is 88. The big leagues, the average fastball is 94. I don't think they're going to pitch him off the corners and mess around with him. I think they're going to come right down the middle with hard stuff, and we're going to find out if he can hit it. It's going to be hard stuff on the hands all night long. Every team in baseball's got a series of guys that can throw 95, and many of them throw 98. Then you look at the fact that the KBO is the baseball equivalent of high A ball, and they just gave $19 million to a minor leaguer coming off a fractured ankle that nobody knows exactly how he's going to bounce back from. So I don't see him walking a ton. There's not a lot of power there. He's got an elongated swing. There's some durability concerns. He hits the ball hard on the ground. He hits ground balls almost 60% of the time. You could have had Cody Bellinger, and you could have had Harrison Bader for a whole lot less money. I also don't see a leadoff hitter. I think this guy's going to hit 7, 8, or 9 in the Giants lineup. Supposedly he struggles against the slider, struggles against the cutter. They're saying that he doesn't have much of an outfield arm, and he may profile best as a left fielder. So he's not a runner. He's only got 69 steals in 7 seasons in the KBO, and that was before ankle surgery. So I don't know. They say he doesn't swing the bat with the opposite field. He doesn't hit the ball to the opposite field with authority. Here's a quote from the scouting report. To improve and cement himself as a serious major leaguer, Lee will have to completely overhaul his swing, combined with the fact that the KBO pitchers simply don't challenge hitters anywhere close to the level MLB pitchers can. Lee's likelihood to produce in 2024 is bleak. The major league comp on him is Jeff McNeil. I like Jeff McNeil, but $113 million for Jeff McNeil. So there's my skepticism. To me, it's a dramatic overpay. He has to be a full-time, everyday starting center fielder. Can't be a platoon guy. Not for 113 million. You're not paying 19 million dollars a year for a platoon outfielder without power. So he's got to play every day. I'm seeing a guy that I think is going to hit about 270 with 10 home runs and 10 to 15 stolen bases. And that is a dramatic overpay for $113 million. So, and I'll say this, if he is the big acquisition for the Giants are screwed. I mean, they really are. This cannot be their big move. They better follow this up with Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Reese Hoskins, Matt Chapman, Jorge Soler, Cody Bellinger. I mean, there better be something big coming, bigger. If this is the big move, I think they're screwed. So, let's just say this. Even if you're the biggest Giants fan of all time, this is a major, major projection. You're projecting so much here. Maybe it works out, and I'm rooting for them, and I hope it works out. But this is a major, major projection for the Giants. And I just think that, man, you're really going to throw this. If let's just say, they say KBO is high A, like almost high A or between high A and double A. You just spent $113 million on a double A guy coming off a down year, ankle surgery, never done it in the big leagues, who some people think is going to have to revamp his swing and doesn't throw well. For $113 million? $19 million. You know what? When I looked at what they're paying him the same thing that the Astros are paying Yordan Alvarez. They're paying him what the Diamondbacks are paying Corbin Carroll. They're expecting this guy to be a star. He's got to play like a star. He's got to be an everyday guy. He's probably got to be a leadoff hitter. He's got to be a center fielder. I mean, it's just, this is not what I expected. I mean, Farhan takes so few risks and then takes this risk. KBO hitter, projecting a double A guy to the big leagues, and you gave him. Are you telling me there was another team out there that was willing to give this guy anything close to this? I think Boris took Farhan for a big ride here. 6 years and $113 million for this level of a projection? I mean, I hope it works out. But, man, if they don't follow it up with Blake Snell or Yoshinobu Yamamoto or Jorge Soler or Reese Hoskins or Matt Chapman or some series of other moves, this could be a disaster. If this is the big pickup, they're screwed. But I still can't get over $19 million for a guy that they're comparing to Jeff McNeil. I'll tell you what I think he's going to do. 270 to 285, 10 to 15 home runs, 10 to 15 stolen bases, good D in center. Is that worth $19 million a year? Really? And the Giants love to platoon. This guy can't be a platoon. You can't spend $19 million on a platoon outfielder. This guy's got to be a full-time guy. So this is major risk. Major, major, major risk. I mean, even if you're the hardest of hardcore Giants fans, you have to admit this is a major risk. All right. In the final 5 minutes of this segment, before we open it up to the phone calls, and Digital Drew's in the house, Niner Gang's in the house, we'll let these guys have their say in the final 15 minutes or maybe roughly 20 minutes of the show. The other thing that got a lot of headlines that I got to comment on is Buster Posey's comments. And Buster basically came out and talked a little bit about this, and just said that, that San Francisco, believe it or not, because of the homeless problem and the drug problem and the real city problems, has not been a selling point to prospective free agents and their wives. And then immediately there's all these people are like, I'm not voting for Buster for the Hall of Fame. Wow. Really? So Buster just shared with you, and I know people would say, oh, it comes across like a weak excuse by Buster. But I think he's right. I'm a native San Franciscan. The city of San Francisco should be a major selling point, but it's gotten a ton of bad publicity nationally. It's become a political football. The impact of that bad publicity is that wives of Major League Baseball free agents are not in a rush to come here. San Francisco's a great city. It's a world-class city. There's no question in my mind. It's a far safer city than Chicago, than New Orleans, than D.C., than many, many, many big cities where the murder rates are far greater. It's far safer than those places. But the perception becomes the reality. And the perception is that San Francisco is a city to stay away from. Should be a selling point, but it isn't. It's become exactly the opposite. And you can get mad at Buster, and this is one of those things, and I can understand why people are pushing back because they've got pride in the city. But you're pushing back on the wrong guy. Buster, don't kill the messenger because you don't like the message. He's not making an excuse. He's telling you about the reality of doing business in 2023 in San Francisco. This is the reality. You can argue with it, but this is the reality. If you're telling me that wives of big leaguers don't want to be here because they watch TV shows and they show feces maps and needles and highlight the problems that San Francisco has, and they're scared about raising their family here and they prefer to be elsewhere, you're going to get mad at Buster Posey for that? The people that have pushed back so angrily on Buster Posey, who's such a class act, such an honest guy. Oh, he should go back to Georgia and all this garbage. My God, that's how you treat a franchise icon who shares with you a fact that he's noticed in the midst of these negotiations? It's not an excuse. It's reality. And it's sad. It's a factor that has zero to do with the competence of the San Francisco Giants. It has zero to do with the competence of the Giant ownership group or Bob Melvin or Farhan Zaidi or Buster himself. It has nothing to do with any of their competency. And I know it comes across as, oh, man, they're making excuses. Just get it done. He's sharing with you, honestly, what feedback he's getting from free agents. And you guys are killing him because you don't like the message. Shame on you. This is reality. Now, this is when I say reality, it's all based on a perception. And it really doesn't matter if it's true or not. It really doesn't matter if it's accurate or not. This is the perception. So he's sharing with us that, you know what? This is the perception of what's going on with the Giants. This is the perception of what's going on in San Francisco. And people are just rising up and they're just being like, I hate Buster. And they're crapping on Buster. He's just telling you what he's hearing from agents, players, and their wives. And guess who makes the decision on whether or not to come to San Francisco? Agents, players, and the players' wives. So we can sit here all we want and get really, 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 really mad about Buster, what Buster said, and Buster this and Buster that. And it doesn't really matter if it's why they have the perception, just that they have the perception. That's their perception of the situation. We all know San Francisco is a political football. It's largely because Gavin Newsom is going to run for president, and the right-wing media is pushing back hard on Gavin Newsom and trying to kneecap him. And how do you do that? You kill his hometown. And so we all get it. I mean, it's not like there's a mystery what's going on here. We know exactly what's going on. But it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. This is how the agents, the players, and their wives feel. And I believe Buster when he says this is the feedback he's getting. And the fact that he's sharing it with us, don't kill the messenger because you don't like the message.